Each Sunday, no matter where we gather, we welcome you, the certain and the seeking, the lifers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home at Troop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena, from the very heart of our home.
It smells like poop.
And I invite you to find your chalice or a candle wherever that may be in your home space. And every time we gather in worship, this time is intimately connected to our daily lives. And it feels like that more than ever when we gather on Zoom and we see each other in our living spaces. And so, as a symbol of our shared connection, we light our home chalices in a spirit of love, peace, and hope. And this morning, I've asked Terry Trindler, Super Trooper and Treasurer of the Board, to share words for this morning's chalice lighting.
Good morning. These words come from Langston Hughes. It's an earth song, and I've been waiting long for an earth song. It's a spring song. I've been waiting long for a spring song. Strong as the bursting of young buds, strong as the shoots of a new plant, strong as the coming of the first child from its mother's womb. An earth song, a body song, a spring song, and I've been waiting long for an earth song.
Thank you, Terry. At Troop, we have our own earth song of sorts. It's our promise to our planet. And it was birthed a few years ago as part of our 30 days for the earth. And we all liked it so much, we decided to keep it and have it be part of our every Sunday liturgy. So we will share our promise to our planet together. And as is our Zoom custom, we unmute each other so we can hear our voices coming from all over Pasadena, the San Gabriel Valley, and LA. So please share our promise to our planet together. As members
of the family of living beings on earth, guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, which we are a part of. Hearts filled with love for it, nurtured by its beauty, and ruminating on ways to protect sacred and scarce resources. Promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself.
Thank you. And with our promise, we turn now to our chat box and give everybody a chance to get in there and welcome each other into our Sunday morning worship.
Emmett, what do you want to say? Okay. We have to write it here.
So Jim says, it is great to see everybody. Sky Hannah is sending her morning love and good tidings to all. Wendy brings greetings from Sierra Madre. Taryn says, happy Sunday. Pat and Emmett say hello, and it is so nice to see you again. Oh, Jericho is here and says, happy Sunday. Aaron says, promise to our planet's a troop thing and not a general UU thing? I like it even more. Yeah, it's a troop thing. Jim hopes we all did well in the week. Tim is saying beauty, yes. Mary is saying good morning all the way from Catalina Island again. Alethea says good morning. Hugo, hello. We are so glad you're here. Our dear friend, Reverend Megan, recommended that Hugo check us out. We're so glad. Joe is bellowing a good morning, and he's going to shout it from the rooftops. Jeff is so glad to see our faces. Michael says hello from Mount Washington. Christy, you're all the way from Hawaii? That may be the furthest we have today. Thank you for enjoying my flowers. Josh is out in a field in Ventura. Terry is an old-time member. Hello, we hope you find your video button. Robert is saying hello, and Aaron is teaching himself French right now. Aaron, you know quite a few languages. Very good. And Stephanie, is in her Eagle Rock garden. That's wonderful. Well, again, it is so glad. It's so good to just be able to gather all together and see each other's faces, see your name in the screen. And so Terry's chalice lighting lifted up the idea of an earth song, and we have our promise to our planet. And there's a piece of music that I think of as a UU earth song anyway, and it's Blue Boat Home. And that's a hymn that we tend to sing almost every Sunday in April as a way to honor the April Earth Month. I mean, every time Blue Boat Home starts, I feel myself swaying as if I'm on the deck of that ship, really feeling the earth kind of gently rolling with me. And we'll have a video of Chris playing and singing. The lyrics should be on the video, and you'll also see glimpses of a few troopers who are with a favorite tree or a favorite flower or a favorite plant. We're going to keep people muted during the hymn, but we really hope that you'll sing along with it from wherever you are dialing in from.
Though I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling
I've been swaying to that ever since I've been watching that hymn this week that Chris sent. So I invite you now, if you're still swaying gently back and forth, to steady your sways, to put a hand on your heart if that feels right, to take a breath in. Inhale the sweetness of this early summer air. And gently exhale. If it feels right for you to close your eyes in this moment, or just kind of gently focus your gaze somewhere, we'll just slow down and focus on our breath. Taking a breath in together. Exhaling. And grounding ourselves in the space we're in. One of the lyrics we just sang talks about waves holding us up. And I wonder, what's holding you up in these days? What's reassuring you that you're okay, that we're going to be okay, that you're safe, that whatever it is you're doing right now is enough? Is it friends that are holding you up? Family? Companion animals? The God of your heart? The beauty of this earth? Spend a few moments in some shared stillness, imagining those waves or those hands just gently holding you in this time. Poet Gregory Orr wrote, "This is what was bequeathed us. This earth, the beloved left, and left to us. No other world but this one. Willows and the river, and the factory with its black smokestacks. No other shore, only this bank on which the living gather. No meaning but what we find here, no purpose but what we make. That and the beloved's clear instructions. Turn me into song, sing me awake." And these days that are so different from days that have come before, are there ways in which you are being sung awake anew? New passions, new hobbies, just new ways of thinking about yourself? Maybe ways you're tending to yourself? If you'd like to share what some of those may be, I'd invite you to put them in the chat box. Just ways that you're feeling like your heart or your mind are being sung awake in this time. And I'll share some of them aloud for our friends on the phone who aren't able to see the chat box. So Joseph says for him, he's being sung awake by comedy and humor and comedians. Andriana is being sung awake by solo dance parties. Sounds like fun. Could be a Zoom dance party at some point. Sky shares that singing her awake are happy, cleansing tears. And she's crafting a new living area with goddess guidance and with love. Brandy is being sung awake with video chats with friends and online gaming. Christy says podcast and troop. Josh is reconnecting with old friends. Frances said for her, it's like Joe, comedy with philosophy from Colbert. Mary is getting back to her own self-care and self-love routines and getting to be with this troop community on Sunday morning. Thank you. So, and Ian writes, Ken Burns National Park and jazz documentaries, rediscovering his own nature photo archives. And Stephanie shares flowers and veggies that need her care and attention. And Clara writes, gardening and gardens for sure. And there are ripe loquats on the tree. And David says Buster Keaton movies. What a collection of things we have that are singing each of us to awake anew. Writer Joan Borisenko wrote these words. She said, you are at my side, dear friends, and God is everywhere. Yet ultimately, we're alone, making our way by the candlelight of our hearts. The light is steady and sure, but it only extends far enough for us to see the next step. Many times our light seems to go out. But then there's another light, one held by a stranger or friend, by a book or a song, by a bird or a wildflower. And when that light comes close enough, we can see our own path by its light. And in time, we realize that the light we have borrowed was always our own. Thinking about lights being carried forth in this time that we may be just fortunate enough to come across. I was thinking about the song Wildflowers by Tom Petty. And our very own Jeff Miles has created a video and an interpretation of that song, Wildflowers, which he really generously offered to let us share in today's worship service.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you I've seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel Run away, go find a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me. Far away from your trouble and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Far away from your trouble and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Thank you, Jeff Miles. I appreciated that his interpretation of what wildflowers look like really expanded from Earth into these beautiful images from the galaxies. Thank you. And thank you all for putting your affirmations of Jeff in the chat box. I hope he's catching those. I'll admit that Sunday mornings in front of a Zoom screen for a preacher, this is pretty weird. And maybe it feels just as weird for you to be logging on and experiencing worship in this way. So I've been trying to think about ways that I can make Sunday morning feel a little special, a little more sacred, a little more set aside from all the other days of the week that I am spending at home. And so one of the things I've started doing is Sunday afternoon after worship, I go to Troop. I drive up and park my car in my spot on Delmar Boulevard in front of the church. I take a peek in at the garden. I go in and sit down in the sanctuary for a few minutes. It is ready for us to come back and sing together in real time. And I usually pick up books or other things I'll need for the coming week. So last Sunday, as I was leaving troop and about to get into my car, who comes down the sidewalk? None other than Marcella and Jonathan Levy, not my Jonathan. And so we did our, safe spacing, hellos, how are you? We did the air hug, which I think we're all perfecting during this time. And then we looked over at the garden and just, remarked at how outstanding it is. And then they said, look at those wildflowers growing up in the cracks in the sidewalk. Now, there's a lot of gardeners who would have seen something growing up through those cracks, and they would have thought it was a weed, and they just would have reached down and pulled that out and discarded it. But our troop gardeners saw something more. And they let those wildflowers escape the borders and boundaries of the garden. They let them flourish. And now just look at these pops of orange and purple. It's just beautiful. And it really is just as pretty as anything else in Troop Garden right now. The garden team let those California poppies just bloom right there in place. As we enter into, I think it's week 7 now of Safer at Home orders. I don't know if you're counting. Some of us may be really feeling the borders and boundaries of our own home spaces. Our home life, which at one time was this place that we would sink gratefully into at the end of a long day. Our homes have now become our everything. They are preschool places and classrooms. It is our office. It's our social hub. It's our recreation area, our exercise room. And even on Sunday morning, it becomes our sanctuary. Most of us, when we moved into where we live, we didn't craft our spaces so it could be everything that we were going to need. And so, yes, at times, if you're like me, our home space can feel a little bit restrictive. But I also know that's not the only way you all have been thinking about your home spaces. Some of you have shared on Facebook or in text messages to me or in emails some of the really surprising ways that you're finding your own self blooming in place right now. Those of you who are parents have said, yeah, it's a little challenging and frustrating at times to be working from home and parenting and homeschooling. But we're also bonding in such a new way, and I feel closer than ever with my family. Some of you have talked about this practice of trust that you're developing with either a partner or a roommate, and that shows up in you letting them cut your hair. I can't even imagine, but your hair has looked very good. Those of you who are sharing pictures of it. Some of you have said that not having any work commute means there's just these layers of stress and anxiety that are peeling away. Some of you realize that you love to cook, or that you like writing poetry, or that you have a real curiosity about all the different bird song in your neighborhood. And then some of you are just finally catching up on years of lost sleep. We don't have any way of knowing one day when we look back on these days and weeks, how we'll remember them. We don't know what name we will eventually give this era. We don't know the memories we may carry in our own hearts and minds from this time. But right now, I hope that when I look back on it, I'm not only thinking about this as the COVID crisis. I hope when I look back, I remember that I scattered a few seeds here and there, seeds that eventually would help me live more fully into the person I want to be and the life I want to live. 3 of those seeds for me. One is just practicing humility, realizing that I can be pretty irritable and grumpy at times, and the best way out of that is a simple apology to my partner to maintain relationship and harmony. Another seed that I hope takes root and blooms is maintaining a more soul-affirming pace of life. One in which I'm not running around to a million different things every day, but one that really lets me slow down and tend thoughtfully to the plants and flowers in my garden, to notice the full spring bloom in my neighborhood. I'm seeing it this year in ways I'd never seen it before. And then finally, just remembering that there were days when my light went out. I couldn't see the path in front of me. I felt at times lonely and sad and despondent, probably like some of you have felt as well. But I didn't stay there, in part because there were others, and some of you, who let your light shine across my pathway. And when I saw it, it gave me hope. And so it's also remembering that when I have days where my light is shining very brightly, to let it fall gently on the paths of others who may need a little light and hope in their life at this time. So the thing about native wildflowers is that they can survive and they can thrive in all kinds of conditions. You see them up on rocky ledges in the mountains, or growing right at the cliff's edge amidst salty, gusty winds coming in from the ocean. And we know that after wildfires, wildflowers can bloom, and sometimes can only bloom after the heat of a fire. Wildflowers spring up in seemingly inhospitable places and surprise us with their beauty. My friends at Troop, you too will survive and thrive. You will bloom in so many unexpected ways, both during and after these days we find ourselves in. And may you bloom in all ways and in all of your days. May it be so. At Troop, we literally scatter seeds in the garden, but we also scatter seeds among us in the way we tend to one another and the way we care for each other in our community life. One of the realities of this time with Troop is your board wants to continue paying all of our staff for as long as we can. And we also want to keep the lights on and our bills paid at Troop. And we want to continue providing pastoral care and online programs, continuing to love the world together from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. Some of you who are members of Troop received either an email or a hard copy letter this past week. And we're just asking you to, if you're able, and we know not all of you can right now, but for those of you who are able to make a stewardship commitment for the coming year, for you to please do that. And that will help us in our budgeting and planning for the next few months. I've asked one of our Troop members, Jamal Carver, if he'll just share a little bit about just how he has connected with the Troop community and why Troop's become an important place for him. So Jamal, if you are here and can unmute yourself, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I guess Troop's important to me for, a few reasons. Mainly the first would be, I spent a year when I first moved down to Southern California, just kind of longing to go back and move back up to the north. And I just kind of hated it here in a sense. I didn't like the job I was in, didn't really like the area that I lived, and just kind of dreaded things and I wasn't my full self because I was just kind of languishing in a sense. But when I moved to Pasadena, talking with a therapist, kind of thought that would be something beneficial for me just because there's a little more to do here versus there. And then finding a home here, it's kind of lessened that desire to leave. That's gone away. I feel more at home here. I can kind of even envision myself, settling in a sense in Southern California areas. That's been nice. And I guess having Troop and the people there in the garden has kind of helped sort of foster that sense within me. So not having that longing feeling of wanting to leave and having the ability and desire to kind of want to maybe even establish some sense of roots is why Troop's important to me. In addition to, the people that you meet every week, and seeing everybody's smiling and happy faces on Sunday is always great. And then in addition, the garden is another hugely important thing to me as well. I thoroughly enjoy that. That's something I missed when I moved, and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do that. But having, the Troop garden and being able to learn from George, Clara, Tom, and everybody else in the garden team has been a wonderful experience for me. So those are kind of the main reasons that the Troop is important to me. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm still able to support the community of Troop. And if you're able to do so, please, because it's something that I take a lot of joy and I get a lot of joy out of, and I hope that is the same for you. So that sums it up for me.
Thank you so much, Jamal. It's been a real blessing to have your energy in the garden. You have been leading our Zoom young adult group as well. So thank you for that. In addition to our annual just stewardship drive that we have, every week you have an opportunity to support this community. We support it through our gifts of time. Jamal talked about some of those, through gifts of talent, and we saw that today with Jeff and the video he produced, and your gifts of treasure. We have a few ways that you can give. Terry is putting them in the chat box. You can donate online. You can text to give. And we still just take an old-fashioned check. You can mail it into the office. Nancy, our administrator, goes in and picks it up. But any way that you contribute to our life together, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, it is all gratefully received. And now we'll see one of our offering pieces from our outstanding music director, Chris Maldonado. And now we say together our response to the offering. For the ministries of the church,
for the ministries of the church in our
community.
We bless our offering,
Bless our offering with love
And hope.
May we carry that sense of love and hope with us out into this beautiful sunny day and with us into this beautiful sunny week as well. In just a moment, I'll share our closing words. And there will be a couple of announcements. One is the Kids Dig In program, YouTube Live, is happening today. And I see that Jennifer sent that to me, and I'll do my best to get it in the chat box. And then we also want to invite you all to the small group virtual connections that happen during the week. I'll get a link for that in the chat box also. There's everything from a Tuesday at 1 check-in that's led by Lynn Sexton to a Wednesday happy hour led by Rabbi Jonathan Klein, and we have a special bartender guest coming in this week on Wednesday at 6. Jamal leads the young adults, 20s and 30s, Wednesday right after happy hour. Funny timing on that. That's at 7. And we have other groups that meet as well. So again, I'll get those in the chat box. After the benediction, we'll have a postlude from Chris. That's an opportunity for you to stretch and fill up your coffee, and we would love for you to come back and enjoy coffee hour together. Our benediction today. May you scatter seeds of meaning and purpose all around you. Don't care where they land. Only care that they are falling, and surely some will take root, twining up around your soul, calling forth the song from your heart. I love you all. Go love the world. Amen, and blessed be. Thank you for being here today.